darn time. Hi, YouTube. I'm back. Nice to meet you. You can always call me Back. Because that's my name, Back. Where's my friends? I don't have any friends. I have no friends online. Where's my friends? Bike boy? Femby mom? Mon? Femby mon? Sully. You boys, stop it. Daddy's gonna be upset. I'll spank your tight little ass. Yes, I would. Where the fuck? Who marked this? No, it's not. You gotta win. Yeah, murder! Al-Akbar! Gotcha! Oh, I did. I beat his ass. Both at the same time.
Ew. Yo, I'm smoking these guys. No thanks. Fly away. Yeah, another 9/11. Let's get him. Al Akbar. Al Akbar. Oh shit. Oh my god, I'm dead. Who are you? Oh fuck, we got Storm. Take the risk. I took damage somehow. I don't know. Somehow I believe him. Whee! Nope. Yo, I'm live streaming. I'm live streaming. Why would you give off somebody's address like that? Oh my god. That's so messed up. I'm actually live streaming it and he gave off the address. What the fuck? Well, I guess you guys know where he lives now. Oh, fuck. Why? Oh, that's so funny. I think it was Bike Boy. I gotta check my Pokemon. Straight up just gives off the address. Bro, everything went black again on my fucking Pokemon. I'm trying to shiny hunt. I guess I'll try there. I'm in zone 20. Raw Dog Daddy. His number of raw dogs he's given to Daddy is 509. Huh. Frickin' nerd. Nerd. Freaking dork. Tilton! Bro, salty shit. Like, actual shit. Oh yeah, okay, let's find one chest. Literally one of the worst spots to go to. Oh yeah, so glad I fucking went here. Yeah, let me just kill everybody with a sniper. Oh, great tack. Okay, big pot. A launch pad! It's Christmas! Bruh. Thought that was a llama for a second. Forgot it's mine. Dude, are you serious? This stupid fucking shit. That's a bunch of bullshit. Fucking press random fucking buttons.
Help me! Help me! Get me up!
One mini. Dude, they... Oh, okay. Whew.
Just wait!
I don't see him. He's here. Fuck, dude. Do we got everybody's card? Yeah. There was only 3 of them. I'm trash. I eat ass. And it's not women's. Yeah. It's not it's not fair. How come I gotta eat doo-doo? I don't want to eat doo-doo. Make somebody else eat it. Sick and tired of eating doo-doo. I think what I should have done was just wait it out, to be honest. I think I should have tried to res there before taking the rift to go. Because if they would have attacked me, I would have just went straight to the farm. And then they would have fought each other. While I fucking hide. And try to smoke the team that's better. Nope. Not the case. I didn't think. I don't know how to fucking think. I'm fucking trash. I'm just happy that I've been getting full teams. For fucking once. Good job, Fortnite. You're doing something right for fucking once. Now how about you fix those fucking bugs? Where the fuck are we going? Nobody's gonna pick. I mean, here's probably the best. No people, many spots. Could probably separate it. Circle's usually closer over here. Thanks, Muji. When I first started Fortnite, this was my go-to spot. Way back in Season 1. He said you, me too. That's crazy. That was way back when there was no zero builds. And I didn't know how to build. Snowball. Yeah, I might pick it up. Oh, there's a rift here? Oh yeah, that's right. Next to the car. I don't remember the AKs being in this season. A blue pump? Lucky. No, it's not here. What happened to those minis? Oh. I might have time. Get me up there! Oh no! Sorry, dude. 9/11. Never forget, it was the government. Ooh, they're fighting too. It's good timing. Knocked. Oh, 22 white on that guy. Where's my plane? Watch out, there's a guy. Eagle. I think that's insulty. Yo, what's up with this tree? Oh yeah, he's up on top. You gotta be kidding. He's on that house to your right. Get out of there. Womp, womp, womp. I don't care about this fucking little. It's too. Tootly. Whatever the name is. No. Nope. Not today. Good luck. I'm quitting. I'm out of here. My hero. Te amo. We're rebooted. Yep, the Spanish guy got us. I'm good actually. I found a purple pump. Nice. Oh, wait, there's a rift. We got a plane coming. Okay, it doesn't work? Fucking wonderful. Uh-oh. Use it! Oh. Do you have any traps? He's got a trap on you. Break the trap. GG. Fuck no, I'm not staying with the same team. Fuck no. There's no way I'm staying with the same team. It's a freaking mess. What a mess. I was your teammate? Nice. Nice, mate. Pippity pip, cheerio. Dude, I'm trash right now. I can't do anything. My aiming is terrible. Miku? Oh my god. I'm thinking Miku, Miku. Ooh, ooh. This is gay. Hogwarts. Probably one of the dumbest movies ever. Vamonos! Yes, let's wave a fucking wand and kill people. Whee! Whee! Hi, puppy. Die! Die! Oh, hi, kitty cat. Die! Alakba! Alalala! Let's 9/11 these bitches. I'm scared. I'm scared. Somebody here? We got like a full team here. These are my traps in here, by the way. There's a gold vending machine. $250 wood for the silent scar. $250 metal. Oh wait, no, it's metal. I mean, $250 metal for that silent scar. Wood is gold sniper. Just hit the trees. And a shotgun. Fucker. Brick. I need brick. Where's the brick? I don't know where there's... if we go right here, there's a campfire. Campfire right here. I might be able to get you guys. Keep crawling. Keep crawling towards the circle. Or towards me. Hopefully this guy tries to reboot you guys. Come on, reboot him. I'm dead! Where's the campfire? Is there no campfire here? What? If you guys see green health, can you mark it? I wouldn't even try to fight right now. Might need this. Wait, hang on. Wait, there was no blue shield? Hang on, I'll get you guys. I just need to make sure I'm healed. Yep, game over. Sometimes you just gotta crouch and stay quiet or still. That's the opposite that they did, I'm sure. I tried. I tried my best. Don't know what else to do. It's freaking zero build. Zero build. Meow, 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 meow. I kind of want to go tilted, but where the frick is that? Salty? Oh. Alright, let's get one chest. Okay. Glad I went here. Look at me, Dad, I'm doing it. Holy minis. Um, um, um. Get a whole bunch of wood, because I got a campfire. Dude, there's so many minis here. That's insane. Mini there. Mini over here. The vending machine's got minis. Where are they? That way. Actually, I think there's a chest. Literally one of the worst spots to ever go to. Holy shit. Yep, game over. Back to the lobby. So glad we went to Salty. Good job, guys. Outstanding. You guys know what you're doing. What the fuck? Just two squads right on us. Like, why would we go right there? I don't understand. It just doesn't make sense. I would love to lead, but these fucking people on Fortnite, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Something's wrong with them. Something's wrong with them. Yeah. Yeah. I'm playing Pokemon. Poke the man. Poke the man. Gotta poke all the men. Poke a man. Play Pokemon. Catch all the men. Then poke the man. It's my destiny. Poke all these men. Manly man. Is it working? Yes. Oh shoot, I forgot to go live on Instagram. Bitch trying to get in my Insta. Go live! Something went wrong, please try again. Bitch, eat my wiener. How about that, Instagram? I don't know why I have problems with Instagram. I just started live streaming a week ago on it, and it just doesn't work. It's fucking dumb. It's fucking dumb. What happens if I change... I'll just type poop. Poopy. Support my live stream. Update. Successfully updated. So let's go back to Insta. Bitch trying to get in my Insta. Okay, that didn't work at all. Let me redo it. Bro, Instagram's actually fucking trash. Just like TikTok. It's like the worst companies. Fortnite, comma, Bandai, Rescue, comma, and Prime. Public. Copy. Delete all this shit. Delete it all. Bitch trying to get in my Insta. Update. Well, I'm finally live on YouTube again. That makes me happy. I'm happy. And now I just gotta wait until it says go live. Then I'll click on go live. I mean, now might be a great time to go pee-pee. I'll be back, guys. I gotta go piss out of my penis. pissing out of thy penis has been completed. Just gotta put my panties up. Bro, why is it not working? Come on, fucking Instagram, you piece of shit. Alright, fuck it, I don't care. Fuck Instagram. It's just gonna ban me for the dumbest reasons. Actually, for no reason at all. New Nimrod, you're banned because you're gay. You're a gay ass bitch. Oh, okay. But you can restart your live stream, but we'll ban you again. And again. And again. And again. And again. Ban you all day, every day. Oh no, I blacked out. Everything went black. Let me put on some Tubio. Oh wait, no, I can't. Because I'm live streaming on YouTube. I'll get banned on YouTube. Actually, there is one that I can. Because he even said that we could. What's his name? Sean Ryan. The Sean Ryan Show.
The old gods. Satan, Lucifer, Beelzebub. Everything he does is a mimic of mockery and aping of the true, the good, the beautiful. Everything he does, he can create nothing. Abramovich in there, that artist. What is she? There's a lot of talk about her. Sure. Paintings, who she's around. You know, she went through a pagan witchcraft ceremony. Cleansing? Yeah, some kind of cleansing ceremony.
Not even surprised. It's the Holly weirdos.
God always sends help from the mystical body, and it even tracks to the liturgical calendar. The time, space, status, order out of chaos, life out of death. My name is Marina Abramovich.
Yeah, you kind of sound retarded. Oh, look at me, I'm gonna worship the devil. Oh, you're so cool.
Last years, I worked in Ukraine, and I get to know the people there.
Yeah, we don't care.
They're proud, they're strong, and they're dignified.
Wow.
What is the synagogue of Satan? But the demon works in the opposite, constantly bringing death. She's talking about the modern day Moloch, right? Baphomet. And what's this tattoo on his arm? It comes from a couple of centuries ago. Alchemy. Solve et coagula.
Freaking weirdos.
Dissolve, break down, and reconstruct.
Did you know that they worship the devil? And in order to get their power, they gotta sacrifice children and drink blood, or sacrifice an animal.
Why do you think that is? Well, I think that the topic of
Bunch of weirdos.
I think it has to do with the topic of sexuality in general. I've had people began struggling with pornography addiction. They've been struggling with maybe they suffered a sexual trauma as a child and they fall into addiction,
Oh.
sexual addiction. It's sex for the public. Take 2.5 million signatures. We have 130 million daily active users.
I don't know if these are normal.
I sit with their feet up. 2015 Super Bowl, wonderful performances. Dressed with, I think, flames on it, riding the back of this big gold beast. And the devil lies in plain sight. Talks about the whore of Babylon, and the beast, right? And so, what do we see there? Because everything goes back to that original creation of Adam and Eve, right? And also, everything goes back to the proto-evangelium, Genesis 3:15. You are prostitute yourself to the nations. Well, what does that literally mean? And I show this map. It shows the curse of Iran's terrorists. Those who honor false gods. So, what is true love of God? It's seen in the Song of Songs in a chaste, nuptial embrace. the opposite of covenant fidelity, is the embrace of love. The opposite of that is the infidelity of idol worship, which the prophets call whoredom. And then read Revelation chapter 11, 19, and then chapter 12, we see John sees a manifestation. He sees a theophany of God. He sees the Ark of the Covenant, and then he sees the woman. And so, for John, he's the same God that wrote at the end of his gospel, the world can't contain the books that were written, but these things were written so that you might believe that Jesus is the Son of God and through him have life in his name. Those who rejected Jesus as Messiah, that would be the early church. And fathers would say, people that rejected Christ as Messiah, and Jesus didn't come to what? Abolish the law, but to fulfill the law. He fulfills it now. How can this help me grow closer to Christ? The demon and spiritual combat's tertiary. Primary focus is Jesus Christ. We have to stay focused on him. And so you see the corrupt church, or the corrupt religious leaders, with the beast, the corrupt government. You see this interplay throughout history. So the synagogue of Satan is anywhere you see this mutual self-corruption of the deep church and the deep state. Most people never see this in their lives, and you're catching this stuff. What do you mean open up for? There's certain things you can do. Open up. Open
Yeah.
comes in or out of the door. Demons. I mean, that's
I did it.
performed that open up, and this space now becomes the opposite of Satan's space.
Get out of the way, motherfucker.
300 blackout, 22 suppressed. That is nice. Generally, with the special operations crowd, I do if I have a guest on from that community, it's a life story, and there's so much truth that comes out of those interviews, and it's almost turned into like a therapy session.
Girl, you make my earthquake. She make my
I had
earthquake.
somebody coming on who had to. Maybe they didn't have to. I told him I didn't want to have the entire conversation on the phone, and that if he wanted to have it here, then we could have it here. He says he does, but he killed a child, and it's stuck with him for years. It's haunted him. How do you? Right. How do you make something like that right?
I would say in a situation like that, the devil's in the details, right? So if I was working with someone like that, the first thing I would find out is, well, what happened? Because you need to know the details.
One day, I'm in there, they spin up. And I'm like, fuck, of course, you know. The day I decided to get out, you know, and I missed the hostage rescue, you know. So I'm in there, but because of some different circumstances, you know, there was no clue that there was going to be anything, and we had guys doing some different kind of cool training stuff they had to get done. A lot of the recce guys and planners were, you know, when we have that, we're typically the guys that plan, you know, routes and jumps and different things like that, right? So I had a platoon chief that, you know, like not everybody liked, but I had some kind of connection with him. I thought he was a really intelligent dude. I think his intelligence was underrated. And so I was like, hey, I'm gonna head out and go for a run around my neighborhood. I'm kind of also like depressed because I don't get to go do this thing, you know. He's like, okay, so I go running, get done running, get back to my house, look at my phone, there's a bunch of texts from him. I'm like, oh shit. So I call him, hey, what's going on? He's like, hey, we got some guys in different places trying to get back, but we could really use, some planning help if you want to help plan this thing. I was like, yeah. And then just kind of joking around, I'm like, hey, if I plan, do I get to go? I'm on terminal leave, of course I don't get to go, Yeah, but he goes, hey, yeah, hold on a second. So he puts the phone down for a second, a couple minutes, comes back. He's like, yeah, you can go. I'm like, holy shit. All right, how long do I have to get there? You got all your shit ready? Yeah. You probably better get here in like 45 minutes, if you're going to make this bird. So I'm like, oh shit, so that's how much time I had to throw all my shit in the truck and tell my wife, hey, I'm going to go do this thing. Are you okay with it? She's like, holy shit, we got through all of this. Yeah, I'm not going to stop you from doing this one thing, but it's kind of that whole Team America thing, just don't die. So I'm like, okay, I won't, try my best. And I love you.
Love you too.
And squeeze the boys and go. And so now that's how I ended up on the mission. So,
because, for example, in the story that you laid out, I don't know if that was, how much of that outcome could be attributed to the situation.
Well, let's just say it was a justified kill, but yet it still haunts him. I think it probably haunts a lot of the team members that were a part of that operation. But whether it was justified or not, he's still struggling with it.
Yeah.
He doesn't feel. I don't want to speak for the man, but it obviously bothers him because it got brought up right away, and he wants to bring that up here, and so.
Well, what would I investigate then?
and you can find this in the news and shit. There was a hiccup with the staff for Obama informing him that we were in the air ready to jump when we got there. And so it got pushed 24 hours because he was asleep in Martha's Vineyard, from what I understand. I don't know the details of that. I know there's a bunch of shit that I probably have no fucking clue how it works, you know? And we come down, we push to the next night, and there we go. So I'm up there. I got a tandem medic on me, and I'm the point man for the op, you know? And I've got 3 other guys, too. Usually a team of 4. And up in the point anyways. So everything goes well, we jump, great landing. We'll get on this target. It's for, this is in the news too, 2 professors that were kidnapped from the University of Kabul days before. One was Australian, one was American. Kevin King and Timothy Weeks. And found out that they're here, right? Probably being moved around different compounds on their way to across the border in Pakistan. And, you know, the network of dudes that do, you know, the most deviant shit with the Taliban, it's those guys, right? Suicide bombers, you know, just all the worst shit you can think of that happened, you know, chopping off heads and whatever, you know, other kind of shit. I think that honestly actually was more in Iraq, but I don't know. So it's those guys, right? And so we're expecting a hard fight, maybe. And we all know, if you have any experience, these guys in Afghanistan, with all the suicide bombs, the house-borne IEDs, all the shit we go really deliberate with when we go to these compounds. We're looking for, I mean, it's slow CQB. We're looking at every threshold for wires, for different, you know, there's even started using, you know, motion sensors and, you know, light sensors like photosensitive bulbs, you know, and pillows and shit like that to just blow, right? And there's so many ops where that happens, right? So it's high tension, and we're expecting this shit. And we get down, and they're at a compound, right? got a long walk in, everything goes well, and then we get to, we see some movement around, some guys that seem to have RPGs, motorcycles moving around, and then what I believe was going on based off of what happened was that was just normal shit going on, because we were able to get all the way up to the target, sneaking up and get up on top and get ready without anybody knowing anything, right? But there were a couple of noises, that we made. The way that I go back to thinking about what actually happened on this op have a lot to do with, Kevin King never spoke much about it after. Maybe he's super traumatized by it, maybe he's living his life, whatever. But Timothy Weeks did speak up on it a bunch in a bunch of different interviews and news outlets. And, I was in my contracting work after this op, and eventually they were cut a deal to be turned over and traded, and with the release of Anasa Kani, which is, the leader, and a couple of other guys. And once that happened, pretty quickly it went around, even in the news, like a little write-up that he had of like what he thought happened on those different ops, because there was a couple of failed attempts. And I pieced it together over time, what I thought really happened, right? And so, different ROEs for a hostage rescue, totally different. And every operator really understands, like, pretty in depth, like, what those are. You have to, right? You really talk about it. Because the mission is the hostages. And on a hostage rescue, it's so hard to talk about, especially with people that don't understand war and those things, because one of only a couple things is going to happen. They're going to kill the hostages if they know that you're there, which has happened. And that's a really hard thing for operators to deal with after. And
Bro, I can't find that
or you can
last
rescue the
one.
hostages and kill all the bad guys. Great. Or the good guys might accidentally kill a hostage while they're doing the operation. That's happened before too. That's hard. So as an operator, you go through your decision.
Maybe it's in here? It is.
You're like, hey, my decision making has to be very precise here, right? And this is where, even more so than any other time, where like there's no room for the soul, I think, in those. And that's a sacrifice that warriors have to make, in my opinion, to do what they do sometimes. And that's where the detachment from that is so hard afterwards to come back to, because you've just moments of detachment from that for so long over time, And in history, some have been able to figure that, to stay attached and connected to that soul while they're doing it. But that just wasn't the case for where I was at, right? And what guys around me were at, and why it's so hard right now. Guys coming out. So we get up. I'm the first guy to touch the target. I climb up, sneak up to the roof, my spot. And my job is to protect the assaulters, right? And see what they can't see. So we have another team coming around the other side, a little delayed because they went a different way. We weren't sure if we had been, compromised at all yet. My opinion is we still weren't. And so they climb up, they get set, they get ready, and in the meantime, I'm looking over down here, there's 5 people sleeping in the courtyard. But we knew that. And on the way, trying to figure out who they are, what they are, making sure none of them are the hostages, right? And there's a lot that goes into that identification, hair color, skin color, what do they look like? Is there any chance that they used to dress them up like in burqas, so that we'd think that they were women, right? So there wasn't any of that. They're all males. And through a process of that, getting to 100% clarity that like none of them are the hostages. But at the same time, going, hey, the ROE, the intel is saying that who these guys are, and what networks they're part of. When they know we're here, they might blow up the whole fucking thing in themselves. They're willing to do that, right? And all of us, and we've experienced that before. Or they're gonna fucking spray something from under, from their little sleeping nest. And in my job, yeah, we're on a mission. The hostages are the most important. But if I hesitate in a decision, dude, I've gone through this so much shit. I'm gonna try my best here, because I went through a whole process for years of making sure I'm not justifying, but justifying, and like going back and forth with my ego, just trying to understand this thing. But also for so many years, I was just coping with it with addictions and drinking my face off and just being lost with that new trauma, right? And figuring out if the decision I made was the right one, because the decision I made was we're gonna kill these 5 males, right, and eliminate any risk to those assaulters. Because if one gets hit because I hesitated on that decision, then I know their wives. I know a bunch of them. I know, they're all around our community, and fuck, that's my job, right? So then I started to eventually separate this into a duty decision and a soul decision, right? So when the breach goes off, I'm eliminating those 5. So I did, right? Thinking back now, there were some things that happened outside there were some loud noises, some things, some mistakes that I think may have spooked those guys into stomping those hostages down into a tunnel system down below. Because when a couple of years later, when they got turned over, that reading the thing that he wrote was like, hey, the first time I woke up in the middle of the night and to getting kicked down a fucking hidden tunnel and was like knocked out and came back to, and then as soon as I came back to, there was a loud explosion, which is the breach, from what I think. And so it wasn't like hours or days, it could have been seconds that we missed those guys, right? Maybe not. So the breach goes off, the assaulters come in, they get into a fight with a couple of guys, eliminate them, and we're waiting to hear that got them, in that room. The beds are still warm, there's still food from whenever before, exercise bike, whatever, and hey, they're not here. And that's when essentially like, okay, we're going to clear this whole village now, which we did. And we've got other compounds we're looking at to go look at, to go do. And as I'm doing my job, hopping from roof to roof, covering my guys, I'm going like, this rush of just sort of stress comes over me, because now it's soul time, right? This is what I didn't know. What I think I didn't know, I still go through this. To go, did I know? Did I not know? In that moment, that 2 out of the 5 males were kids. So, in the moment, it doesn't affect me too much. It's my job. We wrap up that target, we get back, it's a failed hostage rescue. The team discusses like we always do. We go, hey, anybody have any issues with everything that went down tonight? Raise your hand. No. And even the guy who
Special
I told
attack.
you that platoon chief was like, man, I brought it up
Fuck.
because I didn't, but hey, I don't know. I think I know I did the right thing duty-wise, but something in here is fucking me up right now, right? And I'm good. He's like, you good? I'm like, I'm good, but I don't don't know what to say. What I feel is like, hey, you did the right thing. With that, you know, when
Special
you breach in
defense.
Afghanistan, it's a blind assault. There's fucking dust. Like those guys' clearance was like you can't even see your hand in front of you. So imagine that, you know, hey, feeling your way into bad guys, you know, and making sure they're not the hostage. So that was that. The last I ever talked about it with anybody. The craziest thing was those guys got extended for a month to do more operations around this. Rangers get involved, other guys get involved, and like, all right, guys, I gotta go start my job in a fucking week and get back in time for it. So I fly back, and no shit, like 2 days later, I'm up in DC in this office at Ditra with a fucking suit and a tie, thinking about these kids and just trying to figure the shit out, but not understanding how. And I'm in this fucking office. I'm supposed to be getting read-ons and badges and shit, and I got there's this fucking, you know, guy who's the boss or whatever, the program manager, and he's like fucking eating Twinkies
A minute?
all over his desk. And
That's
I'm
it?
like, hey, sir, what am I supposed to be? What do I need to do here? And he's like,
That's messed up.
fucking, what are you talking about? Get your ass over to the fucking brief you're supposed to be in. And I'm like, okay, you know, fucking dick, you know. And then I go do my best to figure out what the fuck I'm supposed to be doing in that job the first couple of weeks, you know. Just feeling lost, like, what the fuck am I, you know. And, you know, over time, I got into the swing of it, and it was actually a really good experience doing that work. It's just, you know, as I processed through this and went through this whole phase of just these years of just fucking figuring myself out, just getting the bullshit, shoveling the bullshit out as much as I could while still adding more, not being able to figure out why I couldn't get it off. And
So imagine he's torturing himself. And imagine he's doing that in a way that is counterproductive. And that's also counterproductive in relationship to his family. Is that helping or making it worse? Right? I mean, so that's something to think about. I'm speaking hypothetically because obviously I don't know this person. I don't know what their situation is, but almost everyone has other people depending on them. You know, and if you overburden yourself with guilt and take yourself out, you're going to hurt people around you. So you have a moral obligation to not do that if you can avoid it. So that's one of the things I would investigate to begin with. I would find out, well, exactly what happened. What were the situational requirements? Conscientious people tend to overestimate their culpability in any given situation and downplay the situational factors. And that's called the fundamental attribution error. And it's particularly true for conscientious people. So I do very careful analysis of the situation and find out, well, was it likely that anyone would have done that in that situation? Okay, then there's another problem that comes along with that, which is, well,
5
what
minutes,
does
that's it.
About life that you can be in a situation where you have to do something terrible to see.
Hang on.
That's a religious question to some degree. And there are ways of addressing that. In terms of atonement, likely what I would have him do is I would ask him, to begin with at least, is like, well, imagine that you were counseling one of your friends who has this problem, and you wanted to help him calculate a pathway forward that would enable him to get on with his life. What would you require from him? What sacrifice would you require for him? You know, because people will often burden themselves with an impossible moral task, and it's not helpful. It's not right to take yourself out of the game. Right? So, I can't be much more specific than that because the devil's always in the details. It has to be personalized.
to go back to that moment and now look at it instead of fucking hiding from it, which I was doing for years, and every time I wanted to think about it, I would just go fucking get drunk, you know. And I got to this point just a few years ago. I'm 8 years out now, and maybe 4 years ago was rock bottom, where this thing plus the childhood and all the shit I was doing outside of what I really wanted to be right? Which was just good. I fucking, I had this friend in my neighborhood take his own life just in the little lake across from my front porch. And I used to go to that spot just because it made me feel good. I just like take a paddleboard over there and I'll just kind of lay there where he took his life and go, fuck, I like feel something here. And then every time I leave this spot, I don't feel anything. And because of that, eventually I started to, just about a year of this seed being planted and growing in my head to where like, man, I can just fucking, I'm the burden on everybody. I'm yelling at my kids. I'm a horrible husband. I'm addicted to everything. And I can't figure this shit out with these kids.
I need water or ground.
So, one day I found myself just playing slack side squeeze. You know the drill when you're fucking dry firing? But with one in the tube. And then that was the moment. I'm like, what the? I didn't even really realize I was doing it. I was just thinking. And then I now think back to go, thank God I wasn't drinking a bunch there. Because I think that in those moments, in that critical moment, which is the veteran suicide, like critical moment that I think about a lot, is a lot simpler than what I think we all think it is. Because there's very specific thoughts going on in that moment, right? This guy, this couple of guys or my team thinks I'm a shitbag or something. Like I had another friend
Yeah, fuck it.
take his own life, and he was at that outstation with me, and he got sent home because he came out a really bad alcoholic, and he was a great operator before, and then he turned into this, and he started getting bounced around teams, but they got it to where he could like survive through it, and he got to retire, and then right after he retired, he took his own life. And for him, it was a little different. It was like, dude, that whole bullshit of like, if a guy's not performing for whatever the reason is in that moment, when we start to jump on it and be like, that's a fucking dude's a shitbag, and you just betray him after everything, all the good he was in those hard moments, like that's the shit guys are thinking about, right? So there's a much better way to do that shit, and I even participated in some of it with a different
I need
guy
water.
It's like, we're hard motherfuckers, but we don't have to play that game when
Come on.
it gets to that. We can get rid of a dude for not performing or putting him somewhere where he can get a little
Anything
bit better,
for water.
right? Take a break or whatever it is without going, he's gonna fucking jump on that and be like, shit, because once that label happens,
I mean, I guess I could do ground.
And fast forward to later, that critical moment, those little memories like those are what they're thinking about, what we're thinking about, what I think.
One of the things that I've done with people who've had post-traumatic stress disorders, I've familiarized themselves with the literature of horror. That's very useful. So there's a book called Ordinary Men that details how a battalion of German police officers were turned into the murderers of naked pregnant women in Poland, one step at a time. There's a book called The Rape of Nanking, which is about what the Japanese did in China at the run-up to the Second World War. The woman who wrote that, Iris Chang, she committed suicide. It's a rough book. Human beings have a very dark side. And now and then, what happens to someone who's traumatized is they run into that dark side. Well, how would that be conceptualized religiously? Well, if you
Oh my
meet
God.
Satan at the crossroads, there's no necessity that you're going to recover from that. Like, these are realities. In fact, they're the deepest realities. That's why people break apart in a situation like that. They come across something that's so dark that they just can't function. Well, the first thing to become aware of is that's actually how the world is constituted. It's constituted as a landscape of good and evil. We're very bad at teaching people that. We portray it in our movies, always, in action-adventure stories, always a landscape of good and evil, a mythological quest, the Lord of the Rings, the Hobbit, the Marvel Universe. Those are all landscapes of good and evil. What we don't understand is that is the landscape. Now, partly we don't understand it because we're in pumpkin shells. right? It's like, normal middle class existence. There's not much good in it in the extreme sense. There's not much evil in it in the extreme sense. It's all middle of the road. But that's not life.
I appreciate the fact of people who think like that, because so many people just justify
Ouch.
their wrongdoings in their head. They justify why they did it, and they look for reasons to convince themselves on why they're sinning. Why do you think why is it so hard for people to just admit wrong instead of justifying?
Well, so that's related to that question you had about pride. We like to be right. If I'm right and you're wrong, I don't have to change. And so that's pretty convenient for me, because
Let's go, Gary.
there's a desert part of change. Like if I have to
Gary,
change, I have to
come
fall apart and then I put
home.
myself back together. It's very annoying to fall apart. If you're arguing with your wife and it turns out you're wrong,
Attack!
then you have to go figure out why you're wrong. God only knows why you're wrong. Like maybe it's a deep wrong, maybe it's a pattern, and you have to take maybe 10% of you has to go, something like that. And that's a kind of death. It's really hard. And so people will insist that they're right so they don't have to change. Because change involves sacrifice, change involves death. When you learn something new, the stupid part of you has to go. And it has to die. And that's actually painful. You might have put a lot of work into that stupid part of yourself. And then you have to let it go. And then it's not like like I said, it's not like you're better as soon as you let it go. It's no, you're just lost on that front. Then you have to figure out what to do instead. In the religious orientation, what you try to do is you try to replace insisting that you're right with trying to find out how to be right. And that's the opposite of pride. That's humility. It's like, okay, there's some pathway forward here that I could journey down if I could only specify what it was.
No matter where you're watching Sean Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this, please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, please leave us a review on Apple and Spotify podcasts. So he died on the cross. They put him in a tomb.
Yes.
Why was it 3 days?
There's some really
You bitch.
powerful new analysis of the shroud
Yeah.
that indicates it may very well be the burial cloth of Jesus.
Why did he have to come and go through that to save us?
God says to him, Abraham, I want you to take your son, your only son, who you love, take him to a mountain I will show you, and there I want you to sacrifice him. That was the very place on which Jesus would walk up the hill with his own wood. And by the way, Isaac had to carry the wood. Jesus would walk up with the wood on which he would be sacrificed, and the Lord would provide.
Wow.
It's all over.
We do know that.
Yes.
How do we know that? John Burke, Lee Strobel, welcome back.
Thanks, Sean. Great to be back.
So love having you guys on together.
Love being here. Especially with my buddy, John. We've known each other we were figuring over, 30 years?
Too long.
Yeah. Too long.
Not for you, but to be that old.
Yeah, when I found you guys together, it was off one of the documentaries you guys collaborated on, and I've just learned so much from you guys through the interviews, and it's just an honor to have you back.
Thank you.
And you don't want to pepper you with all kinds of questions here coming up. I'm still new to this whole thing, so but yeah, so Easter.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to get you guys both back on to talk about the resurrection, what it means, what's the proof, and any other rabbit holes that we go down, which I'm sure there'll be plenty.
Sure you will.
So yeah. But quick introduction, shortened it up a little bit because you guys have both been on before. Lee Strobel, New York Times best-selling author, over 40 books that have sold millions. Newest book, Seeing the Supernatural, just hit that list as well. The founding director of the Lee Strobel Center for
Evangelism and Applied Apologetics at Colorado Christian University. John Burke, founder of the Gateway Church in Austin, Texas, best-selling author with books like Imagine Heaven that dive into near-death experiences and what they reveal about the afterlife. And now you've just started a podcast, Imagine Heaven with John Burke. Congratulations on the podcast.
Thank you.
Sounds a little overwhelming.
It is. Now you know what he
I can
feels.
relate.
It is.
I can relate.
I know.
You know,
I was trying to get
We
you to
did
talk me
it.
out of it last time I was on the show, and you didn't.
yeah, well,
Should have.
I hope things are going really good with that.
They are.
I know a lot of people have questions, and I think, like we both have talked about, there just seems to be this wave of Christianity just moving quick, and a lot of new believers out
Yeah,
there.
new openness, so it's good.
Yeah. So, but you know, everybody gets a gift, even the second appearance. So here you
Hey.
guys go.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
My gummy
Awesome.
bears.
Whoops, my bad. And
Worked that
still
off.
legal in all 50 states. And then I also,
Nice.
yeah, you know, we're sure we'll be talking about
Yeah. Thank
angels
you.
and demons a little bit.
Sure.
And I think I may have told both of you.
Yeah, the 444. Right.
444 stuff.
What's
So,
that?
so when I became a believer, I had this experience in Sedona, and then ever since then,
Oh, you told me about
I
that.
see the 444 everywhere.
Was that related to that?
It was. So the quick backstory. So I told you about the Sedona trip,
A Pokeball.
and then after the Sedona trip, I think the guy that
Catch
really,
it.
No, I don't think the guy that really started my journey to faith was this guy Eddie Penny, who's a friend of mine, former SEAL Team 6 guy, and his story of being saved is just like, it's always stuck with me. And then every person that's come on the show since him for, man, probably a year after he came on, they brought up something about God, Jesus, the Bible. Like every single person that's sat in this room for probably about a year. And then I had that experience in Sedona. When I came back, I had called Eddie, because Eddie's been kind of a mentor of mine, and told him about what had happened, and was just kind of asking him what it all meant. And he started having this conversation with me about guardian angels, and attacks will probably start happening because I've chosen a side. He was basically
Better?
saying demons don't really care when you're just sitting there in the middle. But he goes, now that you've chosen a side, and with the influence you have, you'll probably start getting attacks, and that led into guardian angels. And then I had a meeting scheduled with my IT guy at the time, also a really good friend and mentor, and he had scheduled a meeting at noon, and I thought it was just going to be about IT stuff, website, emails, who knows what. And he has the exact same conversation with me, and those two don't know each other. And he had scheduled the meeting at noon, and he was like, hey, you know, guardian angels are watching over you. They've known you since before you were born, and all this stuff. And I was like, this is weird. I just had this conversation like 12 hours ago with Eddie, and I had gone home for a late lunch with my wife and kid, and got back in the truck to drive back to work. And I saw 444 on the dash clock, and then I had 444 miles left to empty. And so I had texted one of the guys that works for me here, and I said, hey, Google 444. I want to know what that means. And we come back. I get to the office, and he says, we looked it up, and he said it means your guardian angels want you to know that they're watching over you. That was like the first thing that popped up in Google, and that was 4 hours and 44 minutes after I had that discussion about guardian angels. And so it was like 3 times, just bam, bam, bam. And
My God, trying to get your attention about something. Huh?
yeah, right?
Yeah.
And right after I'd had that really profound experience in Sedona. And so, yeah,
I mean, one of the things in the outline that I wanted to talk to you guys about is all these people, they pray on things, they say they want to leave it in God's hands, and how do you know you're doing the right thing? And for me, I think that I want to ask you guys, how do you know when he's speaking to you? And for me, I think it's my gut instinct. And so, we dive into a lot of squirrely things on the podcast, or if I'm looking for some direction, a lot of times I feel like I know what it is, and then I get in my head and I'm like, oh, shit, am I doing the right thing? Am I supposed to be doing this? And it's like he'll flash a sign, like, every time, and a lot of times I'll just randomly look at my watch or my phone or something that'll say 444 or exit 444. That number will flash sometime, and to me that means your gut's right, Sean. This is the confirmation that you need. Lean into the gut. That's where I'm at.
There's the guardian angel thing is a fascinating topic. I have a chapter in my book, Seeing the Supernatural, on angels, and I deal with the guardian angel question. Do we really have guardian angels? And it's interesting. There's some Christian scholars who say no. But you go back in history, Jerome, the great Bible translator, said yes. Thomas Aquinas said yes. And Martin Luther certainly believed in guardian angels. Well, I would say in protective angels. But there's two passages that jump out to me. Yeah, there's two passages jump out to me. One is Jesus was talking to some folks, and he said about little children. He said, do not despise these little ones, because their angels see the face of God in heaven every day. Well, they're angels? That would be a guardian angel, right? And then Peter is in prison in the book of Acts, and an angel frees him. And he shows up at a house where some Christians are gathered, and he knocks on the door and says, hey, Peter. And the servant says, hey, Peter's at the door. And they say, he can't be at the door. He's in prison. It must be his angel. And I interview a scholar for my book on that question. He says, I think that is sufficient biblical evidence to say that, yeah, we do have a guardian angel. The Orthodox Christian Church believes that at the moment of baptism, you're assigned a guardian angel. So, this is a very interesting phenomenon, because people don't think of that. We're cautioned, I think, through the experience of John in Revelation, not to worship angels. And therefore, I would suggest, from at least the Protestant writings, that you don't pray to angels, but to pray about angels and to pray for God's intervention through his angels is certainly biblical, I believe. In fact, Jesus, when he was being arrested, said, could not my Father right now send, 12 legions of angels? Yeah, to protect me if I wanted to? Yeah. Wow. And so, in the small catechism that Martin Luther wrote, his evening prayer says, Lord, send your angels to protect me from the evil one. So for us to pray to God for protection by angelic beings, to believe and trust that he has perhaps even assigned a guardian angel to protect us, I think tells us something about the love of God, the power of God, his concern for every aspect of our life. And I just find it very encouraging.
Yeah. Well, and my study into
the next day,
having
your alarm is going off.
Definitely. Really? Yeah. And I think about like Jim Woodford, this commercial airline pilot who, when he died, he had been an agnostic his whole life. Very wealthy man. He was several multi-million-dollar businesses. Never prayed a day in his life, but his wife was a believer and was praying for him and for his salvation. And he told me, he said, John, you know when you're dying. You know. And he knew. He had an opioid overdose. He had Guillain-Barré and ended up addicted and accidental in his truck looking at the sunset. And as he was dying, he had this thought, you've never thanked God for the life you thought was your own making. Wow. And he looks back now and says he thinks that was the Lord going, one last time, buddy.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
And he cried out, God, forgive me, as his head hit the steering wheel. Wow. Which, he's a jokester, so I like to joke with him. Jim, I think you beat the thief on the cross for last minute, Daddy. You know? I was like,
Wow.
how much more are you going to push it? But he first has a hellish vision of actually a creature who knew his name calling to him. And again, he cries out to God for help. And these three angels come and rescue him. And interestingly, in near-death experiences, when it is last-minute kind of foxhole conversion, I find God lets them see where they were going before rescuing them and show them where their eternity is going to be. So that happens to Jim, and he's there with these three magnificent angels. Yeah. And one was his guardian, one was a scribe angel, and one was a warrior. And people consistently describe those three categories. And what's fascinating too, because I'll be honest, like I had no interest in angels or demons. I didn't. It's just kind of like, yeah, you know, we're not supposed to pray to them, just like you said. So I'm sure they're there, but who cares? Not who cares, but kind of. But how many near-death experiencers talked about them? Consistently the same.
Always in threes?
One was 10 feet, one another 12 and 15 feet. And I was always like, what? That's bizarre. But they kept saying, same kind of estimation of height, too.
Interesting.
I know. And so the guardian told Jim that, yes, he was assigned to him since his conception.
Interesting.
And I've heard that from others as well.
Wow. I think there's sufficient biblical evidence for it, and this is near-death experience stuff that just confirms that.
It does.
And I find that encouraging, don't you?
Yeah.
Because like you, it's like, I'm more interested in some of the stuff I can see and touch and evidence and so forth, but then to know that God cares about me so much that he's watching over me in that way, and he's assigned someone to really provide protection and guidance. And
well, and another guy, a CEO that I interviewed, he's there before the throne of God, and he sees that prayers, and Jim did too, that prayers are tangible. Like they're real things. You know, we just think, oh, it's just, you know, hitting the ceiling or whatever. It's just my thoughts, but to God, that's not true. They actually, you know, they are seen in heaven, kind of like lights. Jim is there with these angels, and he sees these 6 streaks of light going up, and he thought, you know, he's a commercial airline pilot. He's like, are those contrails? You know, like the smoke from, or the, you know,
Chemtrails.
Yeah,
Chemtrail, right.
and he said to the angel, what are those? And the angel said, those are the prayers of your family for your soul going to the throne of God even as we speak.
Wow.
At that point, now he's dead, his body's dead in a truck. The Canadian Royal Mounted Guard, what's it, the police, Mounted Police, find him the next morning. He was dead overnight. But his family, 6 family members, were circled up in his home, holding hands, praying that Jesus would rescue him and send him back. And he sees 6
contrails.
Wow. And other near-death experiencers who have said the same thing. So the CEO that I interviewed, Randy, sees the same thing. These lights like coming into the throne of God, and he knew they were prayers, and the Lord sending angels in answers to the prayers to act.
And
which I would have thought, I don't know, you know, like I'm still kind of a skeptic at heart. I hate to say it.
Just do stuff directly rather than dispatching.
Well, and and at first when I started hearing these, I was like, I don't know. That's kind of, maybe.
But there's so
many
stories
of them saying that.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't go against the Bible, and in fact, it aligns with what, God's told us a lot of in there. Our prayers really do make a difference. They actually move the hand of God.
Yeah. John Peyton was a Scottish missionary in the New Hebrides Islands in the South Pacific, and he and his wife lived in this little cottage, and the local tribes people didn't like the fact they were talking about Jesus all the time, so they came to burn down their house and kill him. So this mob is forming. So what do? They're praying. They're praying, God, here we are, we're alone, we're in this home, they're coming to kill us, they're coming to burn down our house, pray us, protect us, help us. And by dawn, the crowd dissipated. Later, he leads the head of that mob to Jesus Christ, and they become friends. This is a year later. And he says to him, by the way, do you remember that night that you led that mob to come to our house and burn it down? Why didn't you kill us? He said, well, who were all those men that you had? So, what do you mean? I didn't have any men, it's just my wife and I. What are you talking about? Your house was surrounded by these muscular men in white garments with drawn swords. There's no way we could have come into your house.
Wow. Lots of stories like that.
Lots of stories like that.
How did he, couple questions, how did he know one was a guardian, one was a scribe, and one was
that's an interesting question. So it's just
Well, the
intuitive in him?
No, the guardian told him.
Oh, he told him.
I was your guardian.
Oh.
And it is fascinating because the guardian said, this is kind of bizarre. And so let me say this. I study these and I study the commonalities. And I usually don't say like, okay, I believe that if it's just a one-off, right? I look for 3 or 4 and it's got to align with scripture, or, I kind of just like put it on the shelf. So this is a little bit of one of those on the shelf things.
Yeah.
But this guardian told him that he used to, he would fly with him. I mean, Jim was a commercial airline pilot, so he's flown all over the world. And the guardian named himself Sky Song because Jim used to sing to himself to keep himself awake. And the guardian named himself Sky Song of all those flights.
Wow.
This is when Jim was not a believer at all.
Wow.
But it doesn't mean God doesn't care about us.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean he's not trying to get our attention.
Yeah.
And Jim said, my guardian had a rough go for many years. He was not succeeding.
Where am I supposed to
You've heard me
go?
talk about Patriot Mobile for a while now. They've stood in the gap for Americans who believe that faith, family, and freedom are worth fighting for, and they're the real deal. They've got cutting-edge technology, and switching is easy. Keep your number, keep your phone, or upgrade. Their 100% US-based team can activate you in minutes right over the phone. They're one of the few carriers with access to all 3 major US networks. That means exceptional nationwide coverage. They can even put a second number on a different network on the phone. It's like carrying 2 phones in one. They have unlimited data plans, mobile hotspots, international roaming, internet-on-the-go devices, and home internet backup. Make the switch today and experience the difference. Go to patriotmobile.com/SRS or call 972-PATRIOT, and right now use the promo code SRS for a free month of service when you sign up. Switch to Patriot Mobile and defend freedom with every call and text you make. That's patriotmobile.com/SRS or call 972-PATRIOT.
Dude, I don't know where to go.
Did you know that 4 companies control over 80% of the U.S. meat industry? Reports say China now controls the largest portion of U.S. pork, and these companies are crushing American family farms. And with the additives they're putting into our food, Americans are stuck with sketchy meat. Let me tell you about a company that's coming up swinging. On behalf of the American family farm and your family's food security, Moink. The business is simple. Moink's meat comes from animals raised outdoors, and their farmers are given an honest day's pay for an honest day's work. They deliver meat straight to your doorstep at prices you can actually afford. Born, raised, and harvested right here in the United States of America. Support American family farms and join the Moink movement today at moinkbox.com/SRS right now and get free wings for life. They're the best wings you'll ever taste for free, but for a limited time. Spelled Moink, M-O-I-N-K, box.com/SRS. That's moinkbox.com/SRS. What did he say? I mean, what do they look like? Do they look like humans, or do they look... I mean, there's... Talked to a lot of different people. Some people say they look like UFO-ish, kind of. Like, they don't look human.
What?
Well, I don't know for sure, but I think they can take different storms. I think we see that in Scripture
Yeah.
as well.
Right.
I mean, sometimes
Gary, come home.
angels come and they look like people.
Yeah.
In the Scriptures even. I mean, that was the case with Abraham.
Right.
When the angel of God, which is in the Old Testament the kind of human manifestation of God, I think it was the pre-incarnate Jesus. You think that?
Yeah, it could be.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Not so sure.
Yeah. We'll talk about
We
it
can
later.
debate that later. I think it was because he allows worship and no other angel allows worship. So think about Gideon,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Gideon worships him, the floor of Aruna. So anyway, that's a side.
I usually didn't talk, I never talked about this for years because I was embarrassed by it. And never talked to a group of people about it till my ordination, where I had all these theologians questioning me about my doctrine. I thought, do I tell them that I had an angelic encounter with my guardian angel?
You did?
Yeah, I did.
Oh.
And I was embarrassed by it because I thought, you'll think I'm nuts. I'm not going to talk about this. But with all these theologians there, I thought, I better tell them. They're going to ordain me. They better know about this. So I told them. And when I was 12 years old or so, my guardian angel appeared to me. And you asked what he looked like. I knew that's who it was. Even though I can't describe him in detail, I knew he was an angel.
It was an intuition.
It was intuitive. And here's what was important about the incident. I'm in my kitchen at home, I'm a little kid, 12 years old, and he starts extolling heaven, how beautiful and wonderful heaven is. And so I casually said, well, I'm going to go there someday. And he looked at me and said, how do you know? What do you mean, how do I know? I'm a good kid. I obey my parents pretty much. I get good grades in school. I'm nice to my friends.
You're saying that?
I'm saying this to him. I'm trying to justify that I'm good enough to get to heaven.
Is it verbal communication?
Verbal communication. And he looks at me and says, that doesn't matter. And a chill went down my spine. How could my efforts to be a good kid and to do good, how does that not matter? I was just at a loss. And he said, someday you'll understand. Well, about 16 years.
That was it?
That was it. He disappeared, and that was the only dream I remember from my childhood. It was more vivid than any dream I ever. It was a dream.
Oh, a vivid dream.
But it was a vivid dream, unlike any I'd ever had.
Yeah.
So I suppressed it. I must have had a bad pizza. That's crazy. And ultimately became an atheist. But then my wife brought me to church on January the 20th of 1980. And I heard the gospel for the first time. It's not based on your good works, how hard you try to be good, that the doors of heaven are flung open. No, it is a free gift of God's grace that we receive in repentance and faith. The good deeds come later because we're seeking to please God and to live and to love others as He loves us. And so here I am. And two things happened. Number one, I realized that angel told me something when I was 12 years old that I didn't know. So it wasn't just something coming from my imagination. And secondly, he made a prophecy that someday I'll understand that came true 16 years later.
Wow. Never heard
So
that.
I didn't like telling people because
for 30 years. Well,
I told my wife, but
so this is a funny thing because you never knew about all my near-death experience research. So we worked together, you know, in the 90s.
That's true.
But I didn't tell anybody either.
Yeah.
Because I was still like,
Back then it was kind of a new age.
no, they're going to think I'm weird. I will not. I mean, when I went to write Imagine Heaven in 2015, right before I hit send, I said, well, Lord, this is probably the end of my ministry, but you told me to do it, so here goes. And I heard in my mind, I've opened a door in heaven no one can close.
Wow.
And I think it's true.
So back to the original question.
Yeah.
Because you said God told
Which
you.
was what?
Which was, how does God speak to you?
Oh, yeah.
So we'll start with you.
So it's interesting. Near-death experiences commonly report that the communication of heaven can be verbal, like
Just
with
one
this
Pokemon.
angel in your vivid dream, but
Telepathic.
So a lot of people use the word telepathic, but many say no, it's more than that. It's not just thoughts. It's feelings, it's every associated thought. It's pure, perfect. There's no way to misunderstand. Now, I believe that's how God communicates to us today.
Thoughts.
I need to buy a Scoby. I've been craving kombucha for a while now. Hang on, I'm gonna go on YouTube for this. I'll teach you guys how to make kombucha. It's like fermented fruit or like vegetables. You freaking name it. It's the best. It's got a tiny bit of alcohol, but it's legal.
Gary, come home. Come home, Gary. Gary, come home. Mama.
Kombucha is a fermented probiotic beverage enjoyed by many around the world. And if you've ever bought one, then you know it can be expensive. But today is the day where you stop buying kombucha and start making some for yourself. And I'm going to give you the complete guide to kombucha making. I'm Trent Musho, and you're watching The Brew Show.
Thanks,
It's
Trent
Kombucha
Musho.
Day.
Dude, it's actually the best.
Let's start by quickly explaining what kombucha is exactly. At its core, kombucha is a fermented sweet black tea, and it's loaded with probiotics that are
Oh,
great
yeah,
for your
black
gut
tea.
health. Since it's a fermented drink, it does have some alcohol, but really just under 1%. While the reported health benefits is how this drink came into popularity in the modern era, it's believed that people have been making kombucha for centuries.
Gotta make sure I got black.
The fermentation occurs when the sweet tea comes into contact with what is called a SCOBY, or symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. Those yeast and bacteria eat the sugar in the tea and create kombucha, and it's as easy as that. I know the SCOBY looks funky and can seem a bit gross, but without it we won't be able to make this fermented drink. And while you can buy one online to get started, growing your own is pretty simple. All you need is one bottle of original flavor kombucha, and hopefully it will be the last one you ever buy. Before we get started, please take a second to subscribe to my channel for more simple fermentation videos like this. Now, let's booch. So like I said, all you need is one bottle of original flavor kombucha. Any brand is fine, just make sure it's plain flavored. That way we can start from a neutral place. Inside every bottle of kombucha, there are many scobies and microscopic bacteria and yeast. Even if you don't see anything, they're there. But what we need to do is grow the culture to become our mother SCOBY. So to do that, we start by making a large batch of sweetened black tea. I'm going to be using this 1 gallon jar, but use whatever container you have. For the tea, I'm using a black leaf tea, and I buy it in bulk to save money. You can technically use other teas, but I recommend you use black for your first batch. Although feel free to experiment. I have seen kombucha made with green tea, hibiscus, and even coffee. But let's save that for another day. I brew up a strong batch of tea, 10 grams and a half liter of water, and let that steep for 15 minutes. After the 15 minutes, I strain the tea and then add 100 grams of table sugar. Once the sugar is dissolved, I add more water to the top of the container to just under 1 gallon, leaving enough room for the bottle of kombucha to be added. Make sure the tea is cooled down to under 90 degrees Fahrenheit so that you don't accidentally kill the yeast and bacteria. Then just add the bottle of kombucha that you don't accidentally kill it to be added. Make sure the tea is cooled down to under 90 degrees Fahrenheit so that you don't accidentally kill the yeast and bacteria. Then just add the bottle of kombucha and cover it with a cloth or napkin and a rubber band. You want something that can breathe, as oxygen is important for the fermentation process. Now just set that in a somewhat warm place, about room temperature or slightly warmer, and out of direct sunlight for a few weeks. Depending on how warm it is in this spot, it could take anywhere from a couple weeks to just over a month before you see a difference. For a while it's going to look like nothing has happened, but just give it more time and soon you will begin to see the tea turn more cloudy and you will eventually see little wispy blobs begin to form. Then when you see a slight film develop on the top, you'll know you officially have kombucha. If you want to be 100% sure, you can take a pH reading, and because the fermentation process creates acid, the pH will drop. Kombucha, when ready, has a pH of 3.5 to 2.5. The more you brew with the little SCOBY you have, the more it will grow, and eventually it will thicken up like this. When it's growing, it creates new layers, and at some point you'll have so many layers that you'll need to peel them off not to overflow your fermenter. This is a perfect time to share with friends that might be interested in making their own. Now that you have your kombucha, you can stop here and start sipping on this tart and probiotic-rich drink. To make more, you just make the same amount of tea as before. 10 grams tea per 100 grams sugar for a 1 gallon batch. Just make sure that you save about a cup or two of the starter liquid with the SCOBY so you can keep that mother going. Then just let it ferment for about 4 to 6 days, depending on how warm your room is. The warmer, the faster, and making their own. It creates new layers, and at some point you'll have so many layers that you'll need to peel them off not to overflow your fermenter. This is a perfect time to share with friends that might be interested in making their own. Now that you have your kombucha, you can stop here and start sipping on this tart and probiotic-rich drink. To make more, you just make the same amount of tea as before. 10 grams tea per 100 grams sugar for a 1 gallon batch. Just make sure that you save about a cup or two of the starter liquid with the SCOBY so you can keep that mother going. Then just let it ferment for about 4 to 6 days, depending on how warm your room is. The warmer, the faster, and in cooler months it can take a little longer. Check in and take a taste until it's to your liking. If you like it a little sweeter, drink it sooner. If you like it more tart, then let it sit longer. But be careful, because if you let it go too long, you'll end up with a very strong vinegar taste, which can be hard to drink. But if you want to take it to the next level, you can add some flavorings. To do this, it's very simple. All you need is a bottle to put the kombucha in and some fresh fruit to add flavor and more sugars. The sugar from the fruit will create a second fermentation, or F2, that when the fruit is placed in the bottle and the kombucha is sealed, the fermentation will kick back up and eat those sugars, creating CO2 that will carbonate your drink. I love to experiment with all kinds of flavors. You can get as creative as you want. Just make sure that if you want it to be fizzy, you add something with sugar, like fruit or a tiny splash of simple syrup, maple syrup, or table sugar to feed the yeast. The easiest way, in my opinion, is to fill up the bottles and leave about 1 to 2 inches of gap at the top. Then just throw in a few small pieces of fruit, crushing it slightly to release the juices. And you don't have to go overboard here. Just a few small pieces will give you enough flavor and sugar. Here I'm making a blueberry basil, pineapple mint, kiwi, and strawberry lemon. I also love to add chia seeds to some of my bottles. I usually add about 2 tablespoons per kombucha bottle and give it a good shake. If you want easier drinkability, you can add the fruit for a few days and then filter them out before adding the chia. I'd love to know, what's your favorite flavors for kombucha?
Chia seeds.
I like to use either flip-top bottles like this or old kombucha bottles that I have saved.
Yeah, the old kombucha.
It's important that whatever you use, make sure it's fermentation grade, or else it might explode all over your kitchen. Been there, and it's not a fun day for anyone. These kombucha bottles are great because the tops will flex out when the carbonation is built up, letting you know that they're ready. After you've added the fruit, you can just set them on your counter for about 3 days, and then throw them in the fridge. And once they're chilled, your kombucha is officially ready to drink.
If you have it in the fridge, it'll be a lot easier for it to not explode when you open it.
If you've ever wondered how to make your own kombucha at
Here's
home,
another
I
one.
am here to walk
Show
you through
you
the
guys.
process. It is so simple, and I can't wait for you to try it.
It's so good.
The first
It really
step is
is.
to
And
make
it's
the
good for your
SCOBY.
immune
Yes,
system.
you can make a SCOBY. You don't need to buy it. This is the slimy pancake that sits on top of the kombucha and makes the whole thing possible. Some people also refer to this as the pellicle, but for the purposes of today, we'll say it's a SCOBY. So make some sweet tea by combining tea, sugar, and water. Let that cool, and then combine it in a jar with store-bought kombucha. Now, this is the only time you will ever have to buy a bottle of store-bought again. After this, you'll be making your own kombucha, and that can be used as starter for future batches, but we need to inoculate it with the right combination of bacteria and yeast. Set that in a dark, warm area of your house and just let it grow for about 4 weeks. Once it's done, it should be about 1/4 of an inch thick, and that's when you can move on to the next stage. We are now at the first fermentation. This is when you actually turn tea into kombucha. All right, I'm going to tell you right now, I am a big liar. You do not need to discard this tea. Go ahead and bottle that and keep it as a strong starter tea for future batches. Add some new sweet tea to a jar, and then add 2 cups of starter kombucha. This can either be store-bought like I'm doing here, or it can be the tea that I just threw away like a big idiot. But you know what? We're always learning. That's why we call it Live, Eat, Learn. All right, throw in that slimy pellicle, cover it to prevent bugs and debris from getting in, and then let that ferment until it's tart and delicious. Now on to the final stage of brewing kombucha. The second fermentation is where you add flavor and where you carbonate it. Now do whatever you need to do to get this kombucha into your bottles. Depending on the bottles, this can be trickier. Sometimes I'll use a spigot on my jar to easily siphon it in, but just get that kombucha into your fermentation bottles. If you are going to use a spigot, make sure it's fermentation grade stainless steel. Alright, now on to the most fun part of brewing kombucha. Choose your flavor. You can add any kind of sweetener you want here, whether it's sugar, honey, or fruit. Seal those puppies up and then let them ferment until they're carbonated. My guides for brewing kombucha have been used by thousands of brewers all over the world. I cannot wait for you to get started. Let me know if you try it out, and happy brewing.
What? You can't take photos like that. Yeah, I'm just gonna take your memory card, eh? There's too many.
Oh, your husband was touching people in the water.
No. Now stand back. Alright, just relax, mate.
Just talking about happening. What are you on the phone to?
Oh, mate.
Nothing matches up, though.
Hang on, I'm gonna get rid of YouTube so we can watch YouTube videos.